Yeah.
What happened?
It was good early. Aqib Talib had an interception return for a touchdown. Broncos up 7-0, but then the monkey hit them in the back. I mean, that's probably the best way we could say it, right? Jeremy Hill with an 85-yard touchdown the next play for Cincinnati. He had an awesome day for the Bengals, rushed over 140 yards. This just wasn't the Broncos' defense that we're used to for the most part. I mean, they did make a couple of plays.
It's like you.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm not there like abuse. I'm all over the place. Let's just go and tidy me up and everything.
There you go.
It's kind of funny. Like, that's exactly what the Broncos need too, right?
Exactly.
They need a little tidying up in the least bit. Tough game to watch.
It was. You know, I was jotted down some of the stats.
Yeah.
So you look at Manning. He's got 311 yards, 28 for 44, 2 TDs. It sounds good so far.
Right.
Then you get to the 4 interceptions. How do you win a game with 4 interceptions?
You can't win a game with 4 interceptions.
And I think they proved that.
Or maybe your last 5 drives, you have 2 punts and then 3 interceptions. Yeah. You can't win many games in the NFL that way.
It was each quarter looked different. It was like the Broncos never had an offensive rhythm to it.
Right.
It would click and then not, and then click and then not. It was just they couldn't. You blame the rain.
Who knows? No, you don't blame the elements. You don't do that. I mean, it's just the reality. I mean, Cincinnati, they needed this game.
Yeah.
They won the game. They're in the playoffs. And the Broncos, the way that the seedings are as of right now, they could actually beat this team again in the playoffs. So it could be very interesting. So it's a tough one.
I was worried about this one.
Yeah.
Because, it's late in the season. We've had lots of injuries. You can't blame it all on that, I know. But you're going in there. The Bengals had to pull this off to try to stay alive, help their playoff chances. And so, here we are. Now we have to beat the Raiders, which normally would be like a no-brainer.
Right.
But then the Raiders have done all right in the last couple of weeks.
Won 3 out of the last.
Enough to get your attention.
Exactly. Won 3 out of their last 4 games. I mean, they beat Kansas City, excuse me.
True, yeah.
They also, Kansas City, San Francisco, a lot of good teams, and even Buffalo last week. And so they're playing pretty well, and they want to end their season strong, too. So it's very important for the Broncos on their home turf, where they're 7-0 on the year, to come out and win this game.
Come up Sunday, the 28th there. Special teams for the Bengals.
Yes.
Let's talk about theirs first, and then we'll talk about ours.
Okay, good, yeah.
It's the high and then the low.
Yeah.
They had something like 200 yards or something just with their special teams.
It was utterly ridiculous. I mean,
their field position was incredible.
Yeah, Adam Jones helped out a whole lot. The biggest play was the 50-yard return, the punt return, that actually got the Bengals down to the 12-yard line at the end of the game. And, the Broncos held them to a 3-and-out, but that was the 3 points that they needed to take the 30-28 lead at the time of the game. And the Broncos could never recover from there. The special teams really hurt. I mean, Connor Barth, you knew that kickers miss field goals every now and then.
Broke that streak of 11.
But, man, it would have been huge if you would have made that field goal at the end of the half. You're
just
down by 10. Yeah, exactly. You're down by 10. Yeah. And maybe the Broncos aren't throwing the ball as much at the end of the game as they were as they had to at the end.
Yeah. It was a breakthrough, I think, too, for the Bengals, because in prime time they had not performed very well.
No.
But Dalton did fine. But I think he was probably helped more by their running game.
Oh, he was helped more by his running game. Dalton only threw for 147 yards.
Yeah,
I mean, he didn't shock anybody. I mean, and he lost his best wide receiver in A.J. Green early in the game, who went down with an arm injury. So, I mean, a lot of things, happened. Here's the thing. He did enough to win the game. And when you have a very strong running game, as the Bengals had last night, you really don't have to throw up for 200 or 300 yards. You just have to manage the football game, and he did a great job at that.
Yeah, absolutely. Aqib helped us out.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
The nice interception, the run back, that got things rocking there. But, as Manning said in the postgame, he said, we have to play consistent, especially in all 4 quarters, because it was like 4 different games. It was bizarre. It's
so interesting, but that's the way that the playoffs are going to be. And honestly, it's the way every NFL game is, I think as, Bronco fans are so used to seeing the Broncos throw up all these points, mow over teams. And then when they lose, it's like, what's going on? What's the problem? What's happening? Well, hey, these are the way that games are going to go in the postseason.
So when you're sitting at home, when I'm sitting at home and I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, I'm just getting so frustrated on the edge of the couch or yelling at the TV.
Both, maybe.
Both, both. You played at CU.
Right.
You've been in there.
Yes.
And what's going through the players' heads when it's just like, dang it, we're not clicking. This is not how we meant to do this. We're missing tackles. We're not pulling this off. What goes through your head?
Well, what goes through your head is that you have a guy who has 51 career comeback victories, overtime or fourth quarter comeback.
We can do it.
We could do this. We're going to win this game. Peyton's behind the wheel. We're fine. And then when that interception happens, you're like, We're not used to this happening, right? You know, like this isn't supposed to go that way. And so as a player, you're always thinking, if we could keep the game close, we're on the road in a tough environment, we're going to pull this off at the end. Just unfortunately didn't happen that way. And that's life. You know, that's the way that games are. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, and with those picks, the 4 of them, that brought Manning's, you know, is a week 61.8 rating for the game.
Yeah.
That's not good. Do you think he was forcing them?
He was. He was.
Yeah?
And a lot of miscommunications, especially with the second to last interception with Demaryius Thomas.
He mentioned that.
Huge. And you can see that. I mean, his feet weren't set. He was slipping all over the place. I mean, and also the pressure from the Bengals defense really got to him early, even on the first play. Yeah. They get a 22-yard gain on a play-action pass, but Manny's immediately hit on that play, and you could see a guy running right through the A-gap, which is between the center and the guard, and he goes right up the middle and hits Peyton right in the face. And so he never was really comfortable. But what is interesting is that the only time Peyton was comfortable was in the third quarter, and the Broncos reeled off 21 points.
Right. Yeah, they get the interception, and that was when they were cruising.
Yeah, they were cruising. Everything was going well.
And then it was the fourth quarter. Was that the 2 interceptions?
If the game actually just stopped at the third quarter,
oh man,
it'll be a better day.
Exactly.
Yeah.